So this is the brainchild of a couple of young bucks,
Yep.
a couple of college mates,
Uh-huh.
Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson. To contextualize those two, Ed Solomon went on to write Men in Black, Super Mario Brothers, Charlie's Angels,
Oh.
quite a mixed bag. And Chris Matheson went on to write A Goofy Movie, amongst others.
Yeah.
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 So Ed seems to, well, there's a mixed bag for both.
Yeah. Ed's probably made more dough,
Yeah, potentially.
depending on what the other guy did in his other spare time.
Well, that's true, actually. I think they're also theatre guys or something, so maybe the movie thing is not the whole deal.
I could tell from those titles you read that they'd probably be more theatre.
Yeah, a goofy movie.
A goofy movie. Men
Super
in
Mario
Black.
Brothers.
Super Mario.
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, a stage production.
Well, funny enough, that's kind of how it started.
Wow.
So they were a couple of college mates. They were doing like improv and comedy and stuff. And these two characters started to emerge as like a recurring character they would do. These two, you know, not super bright guys talking about things they don't really understand, such as history.
Yeah. So that was the bit.
That was the bit. But apparently there were three of them at first. There was Bill, Ted, and Bob.
Ah, of course.
Bob.
Doesn't quite roll off Bill and
Get the
Ted
fuck out of here, Bob.
and Bob's Excellent Adventure.
Fuck you, Bob. You're out.
We don't need a Bob.
Hey, everyone that is part of this troop, step forward. Not so fast, Bob.
Here's the team list. Bill, Ted. If your name's not on the list, you're cut.
Poor Bob. We'll never know. I think he left himself.
Yeah, I think it was this band's going nowhere.
Yeah,
moment.
Pete Best's scenario.
Yeah.
You know Pete Best, so he's the original drummer for the Beatles. He eventually released an album called Best of the Beatles.
Nice.
He kind of SEO hacked them before search engines were a thing.
Yeah.
So people bought it thinking it was a Beatles compilation album, but it was just a Pete Best album.
Ah, that's your angle.
Yeah, fair enough. Got to do what you got to do.
Ah,
I wonder if
Pete
Bob did
Best.
the same. Poor Bob. Where are you now, Bob?
Yeah, Bob.
Are you listening? We'd love to hear from you.
His
More
name
on Bob
was
later.
Steve Carell.
Imagine that. Yeah, is he someone? He's probably no one. Poor bastard.
You're nothing, Bob.
Fuck you, Bob.
You're a piece of shit.
You piece of shit, Bob.
Why would Bob walk out on these guys?
I don't know.
Everything was going so well.
Well, it sounds like it. I think it was very, very early days. I think it's like in their second performance or something. They actually finished college at a certain point, I suppose, and they weren't living. They went off into various
Roles.
early stages of careers. But
Like
they would
Judge
call each
Styles?
other. I think one was working on a TV show, the other one was working on something else. But they would call each other as Bill and Ted. They just had so much fun doing it. And they were like, fuck, let's just make something out of it. And so they were going to make this movie that had Bill and Ted as part of it, but sort of inspired by Monty Python, was going to be a collection of different things. But actually, Chris Matheson's dad, who was also a writer,
Yes.
said, nah, man, that's the movie.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted, that's the movie. And he knows what he's talking about because he's written some actual movies.
He's a sci-fi guy, right?
He wrote I Am Legend, but I assume that's the old one, not the new one. And he wrote Duel.
So I understand him to be a science fiction guy.
Oh, yeah?
I read that on Wiki or something.
Right.
That's all I read.
But then somehow the time travel thing came into it and just this idea of constantly putting these two, I want to say dumb guys. I know there's more to it than that, but let's just say these two dumb guys who don't really care up against these very significant moments and people and things. And they're just like, yeah,
Juxtaposition.
the old juxties.
I love a good juxtaposition.
Me too. But there were a few differences in the original script versus what we saw on our screens. So originally Rufus, played by George Carlin,
Was called Reuben.
was called Reuben. Can you believe it? No, he was called Rufus, but he was a 28-year-old from whomst they borrowed a van.
Wow.
But get this, the van was a time machine.
Wow.
So they borrowed a van from a guy named Rufus, some 28-year-old guy, and they end up in Nazi Germany somehow. So it seems more like a hot tub time machine scenario where they kind of accidentally
Yeah.
get there. Oh, and then they accidentally came back with Hitler.
Oh.
They swapped that out for Napoleon.
Hitler running around the
Yeah.
I see where they were going
On a
with
water
it.
slide.
On a water slide.
Along with other changes. So there was no Hitler in there. They also ditched the van
Yeah.
because it was too close to Back to the Future. Fair enough. And they went for a phone booth instead.
Yeah, which was completely original. Was that intentional?
One thing I read said it was a reference to Doctor Who. Another thing I read said, they didn't really care.
I think it's a reference.
I think so. Why not? Give them some credit. Should we get into casting?
Mm-hmm.
Now, apparently there were hundreds of actors. It looks like quite an ordeal, this casting process. They just kept getting different people together. They knew it was all about the chemistry. But one of the more interesting names in the rotation was one Paulie Shaw.
Bill, what? These are heavy. Yeah, dude, heavy metal, man. You know, I feel like the dude in The Wizard of Oz. The straw dude? No, not that dude. If I only had a heart, will I be most triumphant and never fart? If I only had a heart. Way to go, dude!
Spoiler alert, he didn't get the part. Obviously, we ended up with Alex Winter as Bill S. Preston Esquire. I love the names.
They are great, aren't
Keanu Reeves as Ted Theodore Logan. George Carlin as Rufus, but not right away. He was one of the last people to get cast. They were already shooting and they didn't have their Rufus yet. But apparently they were looking at a few different rock star nods, such as Ringo Starr, Roger Daltrey of The Who, but also Sean Connery, just because, I suppose. But obviously they didn't go with any of them. They went with George Carlin. You know what they did then? They got these people, got them, arranged them in front of a camera, acted out various scenes, shot them, cut them together, bish bash bosh, got yourself a movie, Rap Party, The Viper Room.